It was believed at the time that the Mets were one of those teams that were dealing with a starting pitching depth that would allow them to make deals. Here we are a year later. They're no longer one of those teams, but you've identified some teams that do have that depth in starting pitching.
Yeah, that was the best use of me. I didn't say a word there. This one, I wanted to talk about the starting pitching because this is a marketplace where you don't want to need starting pitching because the prices are so high, and maybe you even want to have a little excess to take advantage of this market. And I think there's only a few teams. I'm going to highlight three of them. I think there's more than three who kind of fit this build. I'd start with Seattle because with Castillo, Kirby, Gilbert, Miller, Wu, Marco Gonzalez coming back, Emerson Hancock, and don't forget, Robbie Ray had Tommy John surgery. They're expecting him back maybe by August 1st. They have a lot of depth here. I don't think they want to move Kirby or Gilbert, but can they use Miller or Wu to get the kind of bat they badly need for this lineup?
Couldn't resist.
The next team I would highlight is Cleveland. Cleveland is just terrific at generating pitching, and I just will give you this, is in 2022, Bieber, McKenzie, Quantrill, Savali, and Plesac combined for 137 starts. It was only 62 last year, you know, in part because of injuries to Bieber and McKenzie, and yet they just kept rolling them out. Logan Allen, Tanner Beebe, and Gavin Williams combined for 3.35 ERA and 65 starts. You have those three, and then McKenzie and Bieber coming back. One of the big questions in the industry, off of an injury-filled down year for Bieber, are they able to get enough in a trade before his walk year to move him this offseason? And before I mention the last team, which is the Blue Jays, I just want to make a correction from our first segment. I said they had only made the playoffs once since 2016. What I meant to say was they haven't won a playoff game since 2016, and they have the kind of rotation where you feel like they'll have a shot to make the playoffs every year. We highlighted this in that earlier segment.
Boy, how many texts did you get on that little blurb there? People probably went nuts.
Yes, that's why I fixed it. Gausman, Berrios, Bassett, Kikuchi, and to me the wild card is Alek Manoah. 2 years ago, he finishes third for the AL Cy Young. Last year, 5.87 ERA, gets sent all the way back to their rookie complex. If they could fix him to look even close to what he was in 2022, that is a dynamic rotation and or something from that group they could use to go out and, like Seattle, they could probably use another bat someplace in this lineup. You know, they have Ricky Tideman coming. Does he come up so that they could use someone else? I think that the Blue Jays are set up in the rotation. Can they fix the other items?
Hey, Joel, so I got a question for you. With all this pitching, and that was a great job. You did 3 teams with a lot of pitching. Are they still hesitant because we go through so many pitchers?
Oh, yeah, that's it. You know, look, the oldest cliche in our sport is there's never such a thing as enough pitching, and if you think you have enough, you get hit. On this date last year, we would have said one of the teams that is set up best pitching-wise, starting pitching-wise, is the Dodgers. And then think about both the injuries and then what ultimately happens off the field with Urias, and suddenly they limped into the postseason, and then with starting pitching, and then got eliminated in the first round because of their starting pitching problems. So, you know, this is an interesting snapshot on the first day of December, but I'd rather be in this position where you're not hunting starting pitching going into this marketplace, because we're already seeing what the prices are and what the competition.
Very true. I just want to follow up quickly on Manoah, because you could argue it both ways. If the Blue Jays make a deal for him, they're selling very low. If you keep him thinking you're going to fix him, there's, I guess, I don't know, some risk that a scenery change wouldn't have been better for him. What do you think ultimately ends up happening? Does he stay in Toronto?
Yeah, I think that teams are loath to sell low, and it might not be apples to apples, but this franchise has history. If you remember, something similar happened to Roy Halladay early in his career, where he looked like he was going to be so good. He had a terrible year. He got sent down to the minor leagues, and he discovered himself, right? I think it was his splitter in particular he found, and he ended up being a Hall of Fame pitcher. Where do the Blue Jays sign up for 80% of Roy Halladay? Or just a similar story? Because this first-round pick, Manoah, again, third in the Cy Young in 2022. That's not – the Mets just took a gamble on Luis Severino based on what he did in 2017 and 18. The Blue Jays would be taking a gamble trying to fix Manoah on what he did in 2022. Can they get that player again? If they do, that is a pretty good rotation because he then goes to the top with Gausman of a pretty good rotation.
Yep, you bet. Another glance at the rotation options. Some of the young guys that haven't gotten there yet, the existing Vanguard brands like Gausman and Bassett.